All right, guys, so to begin your monochromatic self-portrait, you are going to need a small square piece of paper, a pencil and a Sharpie, one of these example papers of eyes, nose, mouth, and hair, and then optional, if you would like to look in a mirror, I will have a couple of these on every table that you can share with your table mates. So to begin our self-portrait, we are going to be thinking about all of the details that we have on our face, including our hair and our mouth and our nose and our eyes. These are all details that are specific to you. And if you don't see a detail on this paper that looks the most like you can always make up your own. You can look in the mirror and check what your hair, mouth, nose, and eyes looks like, and then you can do your best to put that on your self-portrait. So everybody's self-portrait is going to start the same way. We are drawing a sort of cartoon version of ourselves. So I'm going to start with a letter U in the middle of my page. And it is kind of medium sized. I don't want to do this too teeny tiny because then I am going to have a hard time drawing my details. Then I'm going to do 2 lines down for my neck. Connect it with a smile line for the top of my shirt. And 2 lines down for my shoulders. And if you would rather do a V-neck for your t-shirt, you could also do a letter V instead of a smile line. So now I'm going to use my example paper or look in my mirror, or I could do a combination of both to choose what kind of hairstyle most matches me. Because remember, we are making a self-portrait, so this is a reflection of ourselves. So I think my hair is most similar to this one. So I'm going to start with the top line of my hair first. So if you were doing one of the other ones, you would also start with the top line, which is the line that touches your forehead. So not the very top of your head, just this line right here touches your forehead. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to add the top of my hair. So that is where the very, very top of my head is. So all of these portraits, you would look for the very, very top line. And then I can add in some details to show the texture of my hair. And I have pretty straight hair, but if you had wavy hair or curly hair, your texture lines might be a different style, like a bumpy line or a wavy line. So pay attention to what your hair looks like. And I'm gonna add in 2 little ears. And now I get to start working on my face. So remember, you can use these details on this paper, or you can always make up your own how you want them to be. So I always like to look at what type of line or shape is making up the eye. So this eye right here is essentially just a circle. These eyes are ovals. These eyes are more like a rainbow line with short straight lines coming out. This one is a combination of rainbow line and oval. So pick an eye and then you can add it in the same line that your ears are. So my eyes are going to go right here, right between my ears. So since I'm going to be doing this with Sharpie later, I'm not going to color this in with my pencil because I know I'm just going to eventually color it over with a Sharpie. Now I'm going to choose a nose and then a mouth. And then last but not least, my eyebrows. And eyebrows show our expression and our emotion. So you can change the shape of your eyebrows based on what your portrait is feeling. So after you have finished drawing with your pencil, you're going to trace everything with a Sharpie. And sometimes I like to leave a little white space in my eye to show a little highlight. So if you want to do that as well, you could add that to your portrait. So now if you look really closely, I've got a lot of little pencil marks, so you can use a big eraser and erase all of those extra pencil marks that are peeking through. All right, so I have all of my pencil lines erased. Now we're going to be using crayons and markers to add some color to these, but remember, we're not doing realistic skin tone, realistic hair colors. We are going to be doing monochromatic and analogous self-portraits. So if you're choosing monochromatic colors, that means you're choosing all one of the same color. So if I choose green, I would look for all of the different shades of green that I could find. So you could use crayons and markers together. But since I'm doing monochromatic, I'm doing all different types of green. So that's one option. Or you could choose to do analogous colors, which means you're choosing neighbor colors on the color wheel. So if I look at my color wheel, I see lots of colors that are neighbors or next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, I could choose these neighbors who live together. I could choose yellow. I could choose this bright green. And I could choose that kind of golden yellow color. Okay, so those would be neighbor colors or analogous colors. I could also choose a pink, a red, and I could choose that bright orangey color. Okay, so those would also be neighbor colors. But remember, we are not using realistic colors, we're choosing neighbors or monochromatic. So I also could not choose colors that are way far apart. So like blue and orange, they're not neighbors at all. They are way far away from each other. I'm looking for colors that are right close next to each other that share space around them. So colors that are touching each other, okay? So I think for my colors, I'm gonna choose these neighbors right here. So pink, light purple, and dark purple. And remember, you can choose crayons and markers, but you always wanna choose a crayon for your face. And that's because if you do a marker on your face, you might cover up all of your Sharpie details, especially if you're choosing a dark color. So you're gonna try to choose a crayon for just your skin and your face, but everything else could be marker if you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adding some color. And I wanna be careful that I'm not coloring over things that I want to stay white. So for example, I want my smile to stay white, so I'm gonna color around my smile. And I am doing my very best to color right up next to the line, so I'm not scribbling, no scribble scrabbles like that, because remember, these are going in our hallways and we want to do our very, very best. Okay, and then on the other parts of your face and your body, that is where you can use marker colors, because we're not so worried about losing our details in the background. And this is a fun trick I like to do sometimes with markers, is outline with a marker, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of the space with a crayon. Then if you want to add some patterns in the background, you could do that as well, or you could just leave it a solid color. It is up to you. Alrighty, so there is my monochromatic or analogous self-portrait I drew myself with my details that are specific to me. And then I looked on the color wheel and checked to make sure I was using analogous or monochromatic colors. So when your portrait is finished, you may clean up your area for today.